Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. I work with a lot of avoidance. If it's a fearful avoidant, they tend to be leaning dismissively avoidant. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about traits that I notice that avoidants really love in a person. Now, these are not, I don't know if I would call them traits, but that was like the word that could fit in the title of the video. But I would say like aspects or characteristics of a person or abilities a person kind of brings to a relationship. And this is not a one-size-fits-all approach. And anytime I use examples, I just want you guys to know that they're not real people. They can be based on things that anybody can see, not even a therapist, but just in general. But they're just made up examples so that you guys can at least see what I'm talking about in an example format. But that's kind of what I wanted to bring up before we jump in. And one last thing is this is not a one-size-fits-all. So you could very well have none of these traits and your partner can still love you or love the traits that you have. This is just what I notice, okay? So let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first one is that the individual has the ability to admit when they're wrong about something. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to admit when they're wrong about something that they haven't done just to please the other person. But when they actually genuinely feel like, you know what, maybe I should take a step back. Maybe I should be more careful with what I say, or kind of reflect on what kind of is going on in their environment and say, I do think I made a mistake there. That probably is not something I should have said or done. And I want to make a change, and I apologize about that. So being able to accept that they're wrong, probably in conjunction with being able to apologize, I feel like that is one of the most important aspects. Whereas, on the flip side of that, an avoidant really doesn't appreciate when an individual struggles to accept, maybe when they're, I'm trying to word this delicately, so I apologize if there's a little bit of too much gaps in this video, but it's almost like the flip side of not being able to apologize is almost that you're in denial of something, and the avoidant may perceive that as a sense of weakness, right? When the avoidant individual, a lot of avoidants, when they do that, it's more like they're trying not to have conflict, or they are fine with the way they are and they accept it, but they don't want to change. What I'm trying to say is it's not really something that they find necessarily attractive typically when it's an individual who denies this aspect about them. A really common example that I notice is kind of the opposite of admitting that you've done something wrong or something about you could be fixed is, I'm going to give an example of, and I'm not saying all anxious people are like this, by the way. Let's give an example of a dismissive avoidant man and then an anxious preoccupied female. And let's say this anxious preoccupied female, her best friend says, sometimes I don't answer your messages because they're just one after another, and you don't give me enough time to think. And the friend kind of leaves it at that, and then the anxious preoccupied spirals. Then she goes to her partner, who is dismissively avoidant, and she kind of badmouths her friend or says, my friend doesn't really care what's going on. And the dismissive avoidant might say, well, maybe she thinks you're coming across a little too much or a little clingy. And then the anxious preoccupied might deny and say, I don't think I'm clingy, I just think I'm caring. Right there is typically when the avoidant would like and really love to see the partner say, you know what, that makes a little bit of sense. I can see where that can be perceived that way. So that's something that an avoidant individual really loves, right? Using that example, and any example that you guys can come up with as well, you guys are welcome to share. But that's a really good example of something that an avoidant would have really loved in that situation. The other one is avoidants really love individuals who are able to communicate directly. Right? Instead of where, some people might be upset that the avoidant hasn't texted them in a while, and so they're going to match their energy. I really don't like match their energy. To me, it seems it's really unhealthy. But they're like, okay, I'm going to give my avoidant partner a taste of their own medicine, right? Instead of saying, it really does bother me that you take so long to answer your message from my perspective, especially because you're not always like that. I wanted to know is it because you're growing distant with me or what's going on? Or is there, or you could mention a different way, which might even be better, is if you genuinely feel like this, I've noticed that you haven't been texting as often. Is there something going on? Are you all right? Is it just that you're busy? Whatever it is, whatever way you want to bring it up, depending on your partner and how long you guys have been together. Because the longer you guys have been together, you guys might understand each other's patterns better. But that's a much better way, directly communicated, whichever way, because my examples might not even really fit. I kind of just said it like randomly as I'm talking to you guys. But it's really important to not indirectly communicate to kind of punish your partner or show them or give them a taste of their own medicine. Avoidants don't like that. They find it very attractive if you directly communicate, even if the words are not perfect or it's too long sentences or whatever. It's a lot better to directly communicate what you're feeling instead of indirectly communicate and then fester and get angry because they didn't understand your indirect communication, right? So that's really important. So that was number 2. So the third trait or aspect of a person that an avoidant individual finds pretty attractive and really loves in a person, typically, is the ability to hear the reality, the truth of certain things without emotional repercussions. Another way to put it from the kind of the avoidance perspective is the ability for the avoidant to be honest about how they really feel without their partner getting triggered, right? And so let's go ahead and talk about an example that we can kind of use to formulate what we're talking about today. Let's think about, let's say a couple. A lot of my avoidant patients are men. So typically when I'm giving you guys examples, the avoidant is a man, but that doesn't mean all avoidants are men. That's not true. It happens to be the way I kind of think about it because I can relate to what I see in my practice. So let's talk about an avoidant man who wants to actually genuinely admit why he has not initiated bedroom intimacy with his partner. The truth of the matter is that he knows maybe it's an issue of his, so this is an example, but he's afraid to say that part of it, he knows that a lot of it is him, but maybe a part of it is that she's pressuring him. And that makes him pull away even more, but he's afraid to say that because she will be rejected. So that's actually what makes him even more detached. What the love is like masked. Whereas if he felt like he could say, part of it is because you're pushing me. I feel like if you wouldn't push me, I would be way more willing to initiate and connect in that way. And she doesn't get angry and she doesn't blow up. And she says, how long am I supposed to wait? I've been waiting for months. Emotional reactions are healthy, and I understand if that happens sometimes, but it's really important that avoidants feel like they can say the truth of whatever their wounds are, and you guys, as the partner, can still accept them. They find that really attractive. So I would say the ability to talk about positives and negatives without emotional repercussions. So that would be number 4, right? And the fourth one is a trait that avoidant individuals really love. And I think most people actually would appreciate this, is when you as a partner or a person can accept somebody where they are and who they are, you can still expect them to change, but you still accept and love them for who they are instead of pressuring them to change. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, and I'll try and break it up a little bit. I'm not saying that you can't expect your partner to change and grow and heal. Anybody who's in a relationship expects some change, growth, and the ability to grow as a couple, right? Avoidant individuals as well. Everybody expects some form of change, but they also expect to be accepted for who they are. I'm going to give an example, and we can kind of use this example to work through what we're talking about today, right here. Let's say an avoidant individual, let's say he's also not very social, because that's really common. Avoidant individuals don't really see the need for social situations or social connections nearly as much as the other attachment styles. And so they tend to have minimal social contact in general. And they're happy that way typically. But let's say their partner is a little bit more of a social butterfly, right? Where they like to go out and talk and they really want to be accepted by their community, right? So it typically would be like you want your partner to hang out with your family or your friends. I see this a lot in couples therapy, by the way, where one person that's not the avoidant really wants the avoidant to hang out with their friends all the time and hang out with their family and spend every weekend. And the avoidant is just needing that weekend to rest. And what ends up happening is the partner gets really frustrated and starts saying you're like, using like very negative words like antisocial, which is not accurate. That's a clinical term and that is not accurate. But saying like you're antisocial, you're detached, you're inconsiderate, you don't like my family, whatever it is. And that is, and then, or they're pressuring, this can really help you to socialize. You should really do this. This is really good for you. If you don't change, you're going to end up like your dad. So it's like pressuring their partner to change instead of saying, okay, I really want to hang out with my family this weekend. I would love if you could be there as well, but I do also know that you like to decompress. What were you planning to do this weekend? And do you have any time that we could go see my friends or my family? And the avoidant can also feel like, okay, my partner has the ability to compromise. I want to do that as well. Maybe I'll hang out with you and your family for a little bit. Then maybe I'll go home a little early and then, I'll wait up for you, whatever it may be. Or they can say, no, I really need this weekend by myself, whatever it is. But they really want to feel that they can be accepted for who they are before they change for the relationship, right? I hope that made sense. I'm sorry if this was a little confusing. And the final one, the sixth one, is they really like partners. They really love partners, and love like bold underline. They love partners that do this, that have this aspect and ability. They love if partners prefer harmony over, trying to see how I can word this delicately, because I've had patients say it not so delicately. Okay. Harmony over disagreements. Okay, so I hear a lot of my patients say like harmony over drama. But I don't think drama is a very nice word. And it's not always true. But a lot of avoidants like when you prefer harmony. When, you think, okay, you know what? Today might not be a good day. We both have had a long time, or, we both had the flu last week, we're just recovering. Maybe I don't need to bring up how long my partner takes to text me back. Maybe not now. Maybe I'll wait. Right? And so those are kind of the six aspects of what an avoidant individual really likes in a person, right? Really loves. I'm sorry if this video was a little all over the place, but I hope it made sense. You guys are welcome to ask questions in the comments. I do try to answer all my comments, but sometimes I just don't have time, especially right now. Work has picked up a lot, and so I might not answer as much as I normally do. But regardless, I see everything, and if you guys are requesting videos, even if I don't reply, I'm probably still going to put it on my list. Go ahead and subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next one.